Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Absolute chaos in crypto markets again today. XRP currently at $2.33, but this morning it did drop as low as $2.07. Bitcoin currently $88,811. It dropped as low as $86,127 this morning. And so, folks, there's a reason that I've spent much of the past week or so pointing out that there are a number of chart analysts warning, hey guys, here's what I see in the charts, and here's the reasons, here are the reasons, depending on which analyst you're talking about, that XRP could be dropping close to, well, depending on what the analyst says, it would be, $2.20, maybe closer to $2. There were enough XRP chart analysts putting out that warning that I felt that it was necessary to consistently warn you that this was possible. The reason that I did that, and the reason that I thought it was worth commenting so frequently on over the last week, is that when you see a number of analysts independently come to roughly the same conclusion, there's a reasonable chance that they're correct. Now, I didn't know for sure they were, but they didn't technically either. That's not the point. It's about probability of outcome. And when you see that many talented analysts coming to, again, independently to roughly the same conclusion, there's a reasonable chance that's actually going to happen. Now, as I noted leading up to this, I said, okay, if that happens, if we see this drop, and it might mean Bitcoin, by the way, they were talking about Bitcoin too. They said could put Bitcoin in the mid 80,000s. If that happens, that is not something that's in some sort of deviation of some sort of chart, any chart structure that would cause any of them to believe that we're now in bear market mode. Like, no, that's not the case. And so the fact that this now has happened is not intimidating at all. At least not to me. I do not feel any negative emotions about this, and I don't think anybody should. I know people have lost their ever-loving minds. I get that because that's how humans respond when their net worth goes down really quickly and they don't understand why this is happening on top of that. But there is nothing to indicate from any of the analysts that I follow that something's broken here. Now, if they start screaming that, you better believe I'm going to share it on my channel. I'm not finding that. This is normal. Look, I'm telling you, this is the type of stuff that happens in crypto all the time. It may subjectively feel like this is way too big of a crash and it's probably just going to keep doing it. And you may subjectively feel like something's broken, but we're just ranging. That's it. Like we're ranging, and it can whipsaw back and forth, and it's really volatile. And I understand you don't like it when it's to the downside, but you do like it a lot when it's to the upside. And we know that the asset class, this entire market, it's been trending upward for 16 freaking years. So then isn't it worth it to endure the negative days like today so that you can have the positive, which substantially outweighs the negative days if you hold for a long enough time? Well, I certainly say the answer is yes. Here's a post from on-chain analytics firm Sentiment. They wrote, with crypto slide and Bitcoin's fall down to $86,000 today, the community's sentiment levels are essentially at rock bottom. And then he cites, for Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, and Solana, extreme crowd bearishness. And they actually, they calculate this, and I don't know exactly what they're doing to track this. It's something proprietary, but they have this particular metric to track crowd bearishness for any asset. And it's just fascinating to me. So a couple things on this, first of all. Just hopping on social media on X, which is basically where the XRP community lives, I'm not really noticing a bunch of moaning and bitching and complaining, which happened pretty much nonstop for the last several years. And for a lot of that's for good reason, like honestly with the SEC attack and so forth. Even today, though, I didn't really see a lot of that. Maybe I'm just missing it. That's possible. But it just seemed to me like people are just like going through the motions, and we're still on the whole pretty damn thrilled that XRP is worth what it's worth, considering before the election it was 49 cents, But even beyond that, okay, so if their metric is saying, okay, there's some bearishness here on XRP, okay, that's fine. But you know what I noticed here? Out of these several coins, XRP is the least bearish by a lot. You're just going to have to look at this to see to what degree, but look at this. It's XRP up here, so even if that's bearish, okay, the least bearish of those four, and then followed by Solana, Bitcoin, and then Ethereum. And of course, Ethereum, that's not surprising at all. Like they've been in the gutter before this most recent beatdown, so that's not surprising at all. I mean, hell, Ethereum got down to what, like 2,300 or something? Look at this. Look at that son of a bitch. Look at that. It's a 24.97. It got down to 23.45. And my God, like, so here's the 7-day chart. Even when we were at these, like the higher parts, like even closer to 2,800, people still had sentiment in the gutter and they took it in the shorts yet again. But as I keep saying, markets find bottom. So we were going through that in the XRP community ourselves over, well, for most of 2024. But I kept insisting, markets find bottoms. So we'd look at the XRP BTC chart and be like, well, guys, historic precedent shows that when we get to this level, that's the point where XRP pops. And wouldn't you know it, sure as hell happened. Well, same concept here for Ethereum. It's going to go. And if you're an XRP holder, you should be happy about that, even if you don't hold ETH, because historically, when ETH gets going, that's when the altcoin market gets going. And XRP is part of that, my friends. So I'll be happy to see that. Here's a post from February 17th from Charting Guy. He shared a post from Kaleo, and I actually shared this at the time. Kaleo said, Bitcoin, one last shakeout, then up only. So he saw it in the charts too. He shared that with his 688,000 followers. Charting Guy agreed with that, and or at least he thought that it was plausible. And he said, something like this wouldn't surprise me. Hopefully liquidate all the important crybabies and immediately recover to keep them sidelined. Either way, I think by late February/early March, we should be at all-time highs. Bitcoin top late March, mini alt season for 2 to 6 weeks, then summer dip. And again, that was at February 17th. So, you know, what was the price of Bitcoin back then? Here, we'll pull up a 7-day chart. We can get close to it anyway in a 7-day chart. So here's the 18th, still $95,000. So I tell you what, the sentiment from $95,000 to when you get down to $86,000, it's a noticeable gap. It's a noticeable gap in how people respond emotionally to that. So, you know, here we are now, though. But none of this was surprising to him. And so he reposted that this morning as the chaos was ensuing. And Charting Guy said, people hated me for agreeing with the possibility of this scenario. Now it's playing out. This is why you have to stay open-minded and be able to flip short-term predictions as price action develops. Higher time frame plan remains, though. I think the March/April bounce back will surprise many. So, folks, again, he's one that thought that this was a very realistic potential scenario a week ago. It now has played out. He didn't think back then that it would matter, and now that it has happened, he insists it doesn't matter. And I consistently see. Let me just to ease your worried mind, right? Out of all of the analysts that I follow, none of them think that anything is broken and indicating that we're in a bear market. Literally zero. I have seen zero that have flipped into that mode. And I pick and choose who I follow carefully, right? So I just don't think this is the time to be freaking out here. Now, here's what he had to say about XRP. And by the way, did I say what time it is? Some of you might be curious because, I mean, especially on a day like this with quick moving price action. I don't think I said the time yet. Anyway, it's so it's now 5:43 p.m. Central Time. So Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. And so this is what, about an hour and a half ago, hour and 20 minutes ago. So yeah, about an hour and a half ago, 4:09 p.m. today Central Time. This is from Charting Guy. XRP update. This coin continues to hold better than the majority of alts as it's relatively sideways the past few months, while other altcoins have been almost straight down. Yet another reason why this coin is 80% of my crypto portfolio. Okay, kudos to you. I applaud that. That's more than me. In terms of percentage, at least. I don't know how much he holds, and I'm not going to say how much I hold, but roughly half of my portfolio is XRP right now in crypto because it's just blasted off. And it is true. Like I've been insisting for the last few months, like XRP is showing tremendous strength from a historical perspective and also against the broader crypto market. It truly is impressive. And he's highlighting that here, even with the dip today. My God. And so anyway, then he says, rejected at downtrend resistance from last post. Now finding support on uptrend support, as well as the 0.888 fib once again. Lows probably in, but we might chop in this triangle until mid/late March when it hits the apex. Have patience. Once again, key levels are marked above and below. The 0.888 continues to hold support on daily closes, so we will respect it. For now, treat anything below as a likely bear trap. And I'll repeat, $2 shall hold. Worst case scenario, I'm open-minded to wicks to $1.60, similar to on February 3rd when we wicked to $1.76. But it is seeming unlikely at this point, in my opinion. And so I will say, and I'm only sharing a select commentary and perspective and analysis from just a handful of analysts in this video, but I will tell you from what I've seen, there's broad agreement that there's a very good chance that that actually was the worst that we're going to see. And again, nobody knows for sure, but if you're just trying to get some opinions and from historical perspective and what these guys see in the charts, there seems to be a reasonable amount of confidence that that was at a minimum probably the worst that we were going to see for these just like the crypto market and the whole, but also true for XRP. So we'll see, but not that bad. Here's a post from the blockchain backer. He said XRP USD drifts a little lower than expected, but XRP BTC and XRP dominance nailed it with precision. Great reaction. Yeah, and so I checked his video out too, by the way. I'm sure many of you did as well. I was kind of surprised to hear him say that XRP is a little bit lower than expected, priced against the dollar. And the reason I say that is at some point within the last couple of weeks or so, I am certain that he was talking about the idea of XRP, even if he didn't think it was going to happen, just entertaining the concept that XRP could potentially get down to about $2. And it did get to $2.07 here. But I guess more recently, he kind of was thinking, okay, maybe it's less likely now. Maybe that's all that happened. But so maybe it is, like he said in his video today, he's like, well, maybe that just could be some sort of aberration, basically, and something that's just it's not what you would have expected necessarily, but not necessarily indicative of some broader problem for XRP. And that stuff happens in charting, I know that. But as far as XRP dominance and XRP denominated in Bitcoin, looking pretty damn good here. And so he's also of the mind that, there's a really good chance that the bottom is in. And if it's not in literally now, it would be in the short term. Here's a post from chart analyst Dom from this morning talking about Bitcoin. He shared one of his older posts, and he quoted himself. So he wrote, 2 weeks ago, I gave a clear warning that we lost 3 important levels. And here's the quote from a couple weeks ago. I am extremely cautious of further downfall unless those are regained, end quote. Simple to many, but very powerful. If you've been following me, this should be of no surprise. And so he has had another analyst that was aware of the concern of the idea that perhaps we were going to see another notable move to the downside. And that was after the biggest liquidation in crypto history on February 3rd. He was like, well, guys, might see some more chaos coming up here. Here's a post from Dom on December 5th, 2024. He wrote Total 2, which of course is the entire crypto asset class excluding Bitcoin. It says Total 2, we are due for a large flush, as I said yesterday. Be prepared, be cautious. I don't care if I am wrong. All the signs say a flush is coming sooner rather than later. It will catch many off guard if so. And then he updated that just this morning at 11:10 a.m. Central Time. It says Total 2, 2 months ago, the flush was obvious, but the length and depth of it was not. And so he certainly believed that this was a possibility all along, and there's no shortage of posts indicating that from him. Here's a post from chart analyst Dom. This one's from last night, and I believe I have an update from today after this. So the one from yesterday, this is what 6:24 p.m. Central Time. XRP update hit the level stated above, which was $2.25. He says, seeing some reaction. Under here is no good. Bitcoin likely under $90,000. Watching closely as $2 is next major level if bulls fail to hold here. Yeah, so I made a video about this yesterday. I believe I published it in the evening. And I highlighted this, and I was like, okay, so he's saying if XRP goes below that $2.25 mark, it's probably because Bitcoin went under $90,000. Otherwise, he seems to not think that it's particularly likely XRP would go down there. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what happened. XRP did go down, but the whole market did, including Bitcoin, into the mid 80,000s. And then he said, watch for that $2 level, next level, major level of support. And and so it did hold that support. We got as low as $2.07. So that seemed to play out pretty well. And here's the update from Dom. And this is also about an hour and a half ago. So this is from 4:20 p.m. Central Time. XRP update. Still looking good here as we got a fake out below the important level of $2.25. Vital to close the daily above and not except below. XRP is holding up better than 90% of alts. chart isn't broken. And folks, that's a key takeaway that I keep seeing from all the analysts that I follow that speak on the matter. The chart's not broken. This is all within a range. It may seem crazy. It may seem like something's wrong. This is actually normal in crypto. We are in a range, and it whipsaws back and forth, and it terrorizes people. Welcome to crypto. Those who have the stomach for it and the fortitude to stand through all this, those are the only people that have the opportunity to achieve life-changing wealth. It is what it is. And then he says, I will share more thoughts soon, but need to see how Bitcoin reacts next day or so. The $85,000 region was my downside target for weeks. Acceptance below that opens up a much different story. Here's a post from Crypto Insight UK, and this is from this morning. Before we saw the worst of it, though, the market was already tanking. It was about an hour before XRP would hit its bottom, and several hours before Bitcoin would hit its bottom, local bottom anyway. And so here's talking about Bitcoin. He says, majority of liquidity now taken. Still a little more below us, could be done, could be a little more to go. Couple that with the fear and greed index hitting its lowest since September 2024, I would think the bottom isn't too far away. And again, that's what I kept seeing, like over the last 24 hours leading up to this. Either we're at the bottom or it's close, and people still saying the same thing right now. This is not a time to be afraid. It's just normal crypto stuff. And that would sound crazy to anybody that's either new or not in the space if you just show them what's happening and you tell them that, to be like, that's freaking insane. I'd be like, yeah, we're used to it though. If we like, for those of us that have been in for a while, like, okay, I can see why you'd say that that's crazy. It's different than any other market on the planet. Got it. But it is normal for crypto, actually. This is not crazy at all, frankly. It's just normal. It's wild. Like, I'll say it's extreme and wild. In that you don't see this type of action most days. So I think that's fair. Even I'll say that. But it still is normal. So it's extreme, it's wild, it's interesting to watch. I get a kick out of this. It's just wild. But it's still, from a historical perspective, very normal. It just is. And here, I don't really need to read this whole post. It was another one from Crypto Insight UK, but he was just wondering kind of, okay, XRP is the low in here, and he cited some things that are going on. And he said he's still cautious, depends on what happens with Bitcoin effectively here. And that was at 1:52 a.m. in the morning. And so obviously several hours after that, XRP did end up bottoming out, at least for the day, to this point anyway. Here's a post from, if it'll load, there we go, Credible Crypto. This is from this morning at 2:23 a.m. So it'd be another roughly 7 hours before Bitcoin hit its bottom of around $86,000 today. And he said, and here we are at range lows. And folks, he has been warning about this, and people were giving him a hard time. Because, you know, when Bitcoin's hovering around $100,000 and you're like, well, hey, here's what I see in the charts. Here's the reasons why Bitcoin actually might get into the low to mid 80,000s. People think, some people thought he was just out of his damn mind. And those people are fools, are just uninformed. They were wrong to think that. Because here we are, obviously, and these are the types of things that can happen in crypto, and he well knows this. He's been here for the better part of a decade at this point. And so he says, here we are at range lows, don't need to rush into things here. We should have some days to position if/when we are ready for a reversal. For now, we want to see how price action develops here. Most alts I'm tracking haven't hit downside targets just yet, so assumption is we have a little more to go here before bottom. Let's see. Yeah, and so it did go a little bit lower after that, so we'll see if there's something after this, but maybe not. Either way, we're close, even if it does go lower, whatever. Here's a post from eGreg Crypto, 12-hour time frame update. He says, check out my post from February 22nd where I discussed descending triangles, and he quotes himself here, and I actually did share this one in a previous video. It reads as follows. Historical data suggests that ascending triangles break out as follows. Number one, to the upside approximately 70 to 75% of the time. Number two, to the downside around 25 to 30% of the time, end quote. And so he was warning that there is a possibility that this could happen. He is one of the analysts that acknowledged, hey, this is a thing that could happen. And you never know for sure. Chart analysts are not wizards. It's about probability of outcome. And this time it went the way that was less probable, and sometimes that happens. But the reason I highlight this is because when it comes to investing, we are our own worst enemies. But if you are aware of the types of things that might unfold and understand a little bit more about why that might happen, then if it does happen, then you can control your emotions and maybe not panic, right? So you do whatever's best for you. I don't know if you want to buy or sell or hold, doesn't matter to me. But whatever decision you make, don't let your feels guide you. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.